My name is Kelly Brill. I am the Executive Director of the Hopkins Center for the Arts, and it is my honor to welcome you all here tonight on behalf of the 26.2 Foundation, Marty's, and Startline, and the Hopkins Center for the Arts. We are just honored to be hosting you here tonight. This is a really amazing night that speaks to the heart of the power of women. And the stories that you're going to hear tonight about Bobbi and her journey and all of the exciting things that she is as a runner and as an artist. And so we are overjoyed to be part of this celebration and to be the host for her sculpture until it will meet its final home at the end of Hayden Row, where is the spot that she actually started the race those many years ago. And it is also my pleasure to introduce your host for this evening. She is a 13-time marathoner and member of the board of directors of the 26.2 Foundation, Dr. Jamie DeMott.
Good evening. Welcome, family and friends, and many distinguished guests. Thank you for joining us tonight for this joyous and very important occasion, the unveiling of the Girl Who Ran, the statue commemorating the legacy and lessons of the first woman to run the Boston Marathon, created by none other than that remarkable woman herself, Miss Bobbi Gibb. My name is Jamie DeMott, and I am honored and excited to share in this evening's celebration with you. My daughters Reagan and Noelle and I have loved being part of the Hopkinton community, which led me into a deep love of running and the joy of charity running. It's also afforded me the opportunity to serve on the board of the 26.2 Foundation. I first learned of Bobbi's story leading up to the days of my first Boston Marathon in 2016, as the Boston Athletic Association celebrated the 50th year anniversary of Bobbi's historic run. She served as a Grand Marshal that year and was officially recognized as the winner of the 1966, 67, and 68 Boston Marathon. I was struck not only by her incredibly inspiring story, but by the sharp contrast of the life that faced her and other women only 50 years ago. So much has changed in a single lifetime, but also because of that singular act of courage and love. I found it remarkable that as a young girl, Bobbi continued to follow her heart and kept running, despite society's pressures to do otherwise. Bobbi saw the Boston Marathon for the first time in 1964 and thought it was amazing, as so many of us do. She saw when she looked at the people, she didn't see whether they were man or woman. She saw these incredibly strong, enduring people, she said, and that it was something very deep about what it meant to be human and the courage it takes to run a race like that and to live a life of integrity. And she fell in love with it and knew it was something that she wanted to do. When she applied and was told no, she was given the reason that women were incapable of running more than 1.5 miles. But she noted at the time that she was running 40 miles at a stretch. And she thought to herself, well, they have something to learn. Bobbi noted that if she could disprove this falsehood about women, how many other falsehoods could be called into question? Thank you, Bobbi, for teaching me. I am in awe of your sense of confidence and courage, especially at such a young age, and in a time when women were held to such limited beliefs and opportunities. I know how critical it's been in my own life to have ample support, encouragement, coaching, and opportunities, and I wonder how many of us would have had the fortitude to follow our hearts and intuition as Bobbi did. Bobbi, we are so incredibly grateful and fortunate that you did. Just 50 years later, my daughters participated in our very own track program starting at the young age of 3. And all over the world, women are excelling in and even winning sports and competitions of ultra-endurance competitions. Thank you, Bobbi, for your contribution and your impact. When you jumped into that race, you also jump-started the progress that my daughters and I have directly benefited from throughout our lives. I know I'm not alone in the recognition that my experience in fitness and sport have been some of the most meaningful and beneficial of my life, especially in its ability to connect us and to act as a positive agent for change. As a physician and a mother, I know that these opportunities are also most crucially important to our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Bobbi, the impact of your courageous act and life is profound and important. And I know I speak for everyone when I say a deeply sincere thank you. I'd like to introduce Cece Chapman. She's a teen HCA board member, and she will be performing Rise Up by Andrew Day.
So we gon' walk it out and move.
help put Bobbi's contributions to women's running into perspective, we are pleased to have a number of Boston Marathon champions with us this evening. When Bobbi first ran Boston, she was afraid that she might be doing something illegal. She might get arrested even. So she disguised herself. She wore her brother's baggy Bermuda shorts, a black bathing suit, a thick sweatshirt, and covered her beautiful blonde hair with the hood. After jumping out of the bushes and joining the pack, it didn't take very long for the male runners around her to notice that she was female. Initially, she felt unsure about how they would react, but she noted they were caring and supportive and pledged to protect her. These characteristics are epitomized by our first guest. Amby Burfoot is the Boston Marathon champion in 1968, a member of the Runners Hall of Fame, a coach, an author, and subsequent editor of Runner's World. Amby authored the book First Ladies of Running, 22 inspiring profiles of rebels, rule breakers, and visionaries who changed the sport forever. His words have educated, enlightened, and inspired us. Amby has said, "Winning has nothing to do with racing. Most days don't have races anyway. Winning is about struggle and effort and optimism and never, ever, ever giving up." Amby?
Well, I have to begin by saying, Hopkinton, we love you. This is I will be back here on Monday morning to make the long trek again, and I'm looking forward to it very, very much. I have always witnessed the spirit and friendliness and warmth of the residents of Hopkinton for this great event. And this year I've also watched your cute little internet video. We love the Boston Runners. I don't know who did it, but thank you to all of you. I think it's really a wonderful piece. In a moment, I'm going to introduce a few other Boston winners who are with us this evening. But now I'd like to say just a few words about Bobbi Gibb, who I have known from the very early days. You know, Bobbi came here to run the Boston Marathon in 1966, but she came with much bigger intent with that. It was an era when I don't think we yet had things like the women's movement, and I don't know if I or anyone knew the word feminism in 1966. But Bobbi, even then, was a thoroughly modern woman, and she came to Boston not just to go from Hopkinton to downtown, but to prove to the world what women were capable of in so many more ways than was recognized at that time. I'd like to mention a couple of them. Women, for example, can be great scientists. Bobbi has been involved in neurological research for many, many years. It's a real passion of hers. Her son has a PhD in neurobiology from MIT and is also doing research in the area. Obviously, Bobbi is a great artist. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of runner sculptures around the world, but I don't believe there's another one where the subject of the sculpture and the artist, the sculptor herself, are the same person, and that certainly speaks to her talents there. I don't have to say anything about climate change or environmental challenge, but Bobbi has always been the environment's greatest fan. She's also always been a nature lover of the highest order, and she has always understood that the connection between mankind and womankind and planet Earth and our environment, if broken, is going to lead to serious situation, and therefore it must be close and mended together and all pieces working in harmony. And finally, I want to say that Bobbi was a damn fast runner. She ran 3:21 in her first Boston Marathon. She beat about 3/4 of the men who were in the race that day. She didn't do it because she was trying to beat men or to make a statement about how fast she could run. She did it because she was trying to make a statement about freedom and being liberated from societal chains that held you back, and what happens when people are given the opportunity to express themselves fully, as she has done in so many ways. I'm done with that. I want to introduce some Boston Marathon champions now. First, we'll begin with Jack Folks, the 1976 Boston Marathon winner. In addition to being a champion, I think it's possible that Jack has coached more Boston Marathon runners than anyone else on the planet through his years of work on behalf of the Dana-Farber Marathon team. Jack?
And good evening, everybody. Wonderful to be back and to see so many of you after our COVID-led year-and-a-half hiatus of being able to get together and share our stories and our company and everything. It's just absolutely wonderful to be here. Andy used a few of the remarks that I was planning to make, but I jotted down a few others, and if you'll permit me to read them, so I cover all the bases that I intended to here to really recognize and honor Bobbi. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to participate in this momentous and, dare I say, long overdue recognition of Roberta Bobbi Gibb. And we're recognizing her not only for the bravery that she demonstrated when she bounded out of the bushes here in Hopkinton on that fateful Patriots' Day 55 years ago to become the first woman ever to run the Boston Marathon in its then 70-year existence. In so doing, she unwittingly initiated the acceptance and the advancement of women's participation in the Boston Marathon in particular, but also in the global sport of running in general, and more broadly, gender equality in all aspects of our society across the country and arguably around the world. So, as such, this is huge. So congratulations, Bobbi, for this, once again, long overdue recognition. And if I may, kudos to Tim Kilduff and the leadership with the 26.2 Foundation for the significant role they have played in making this evening happen.
Thank you, Jack. Next, we'll hear from Boston Bill Rogers, who needs no introduction in this town or any running community in the world, perhaps, but he's a four-time Boston Marathon winner, and I will add, a long-time supporter of Bobbi Gibb. Billy?
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, everyone here in Hopkinton. And I 100% agree with Jack's words, of course, about Hopkinton. Where it all starts. And this momentous occasion. I didn't understand the marathon when I was actually Andy Burfoot's roommate when he won Boston. But I didn't understand the marathon. It wasn't on TV. I was a cross-country runner or running the 2 mile or something, but it wasn't until I moved to Boston that I saw what the marathon is. And I think that's coverage is so important. And I think tonight we're finally seeing, the woman who really did it. And I think that is key. And congratulations, Roberta, to have the courage, to break the rules, Sometimes breaking rules is a good thing. And look what a good thing it's turned into. It wasn't understood at the time, maybe some people did. I think we runners, we always got it. We always did. Anyway, great honor to be here tonight and salute you. I'm here with my brother Charlie and Karen. We're all big fans. We always have been. You're tough, tough as nails. And us guy runners, we know that. And we're out there on the course, and but it's your night. I'm going to go back there, or I'm going to go sit down. Let's proceed. Congratulations.
Bobbi won Boston 3 years in a row, of course, 66, 67, 68. But we also have another female three-time Boston Marathon winner with us tonight. In many ways, she's one of the unsung heroes, male or female, of the Boston Marathon and running history. But Sarah Mae Berman and her husband, Larry Berman, in my opinion, have done more for amateur athletic endurance sports in the Boston area and the eastern US than anyone else in this country. So Sarah May, please come up and say hello.
I finally got to know Bobbi after, not when she first ran, but later on, and it's been a joy. Bobbi is such a free spirit. She ran because she just liked to run. Her family lived in Winchester near the Middlesex Fells, and she would run on those trails. Or when she went to art school at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, only 8 miles each way, she ran there. So running was something she always did. I guess it wasn't a surprise when she finally felt that running was something that she needed to do. Bobbi, in another era, might have been recognized as a Renaissance woman. An intellectual with degrees in philosophy, math, law, studies in neurological diseases like ALS. Also, she's a sculptor and an athlete. I would say that qualifies her as a Renaissance woman. In her book, Wind in the Fire, she says, "From the first time I saw the Boston Marathon, I fell in love with it." And when she falls in love with something, she's got to pursue it. She went in 1964 to watch the marathon from Wellesley with her dad, and she was mesmerized by the crowd of runners, graceful, balancing the motions of their arms and legs, heads bobbing, making hardly a sound. "Here are people who feel as I do," she said, "who have integrated their minds, bodies, and spirits into one perfect whole. At that moment, I know I am meant to run this race." And run it she did. But she didn't. She said, I was running. But to someone who said, what did you run on? She said, I prepared for 2 years. Actually, she wanted to run in 65 and then hurt her ankle and so couldn't do it. So she ran in 66. But she set an example for everyone, men and women. And she has found in the running that the guys, long-distance runners have a special creed. They respect each other. You can't cover the distance if you haven't done the training. So if you cover the distance, you've done the training. And runners respect each other's training, and for that they respected Bobbi and still do. God bless you.
Bobbi shared that she first dreamt of creating a statue devoted to the female runner over 50 years ago. Congratulations on fulfilling that dream, Bobbi. And what a gift it is to our community to host your work of art and to take stewardship of its legacy. Bobbi's sculpture received unanimous support from the Hopkinton Historical District Commission and will be the fourth sculpture honoring marathon nobles to be located in Hopkinton. The Main Street Corridor project is underway in Hopkinton and will dramatically enhance and beautify our downtown, as well as the Common. Once completed, Bobbi's sculpture will be placed at the corner of Main Street and Hayden Row, just a few yards from where she started her historic run. It's important to note that currently in the U.S. there are over 5,000 statues depicting men, and only approximately 360 depicting women, which represents only 8%. In the last decade, there's been a nationwide effort to bring this disparity to light and to promote the creation of monuments dedicated to the many remarkable women that have made substantial contributions to our world. It is so important to share their stories, not just for the recognition they deserve, but to highlight them as role models to our children, to teach the incredible lesson that no one should be defined by a demographic and the impact of a life well lived. Our next two presenters are two women who are wonderful role models, citizens who have devoted a significant portion of their lives to their communities and to improving the lives of others. It is my honor to introduce State Representative Caroline Dykema, who has served our local communities in some capacity for over 20 years and as our state representative since 2008.
Wow. I am truly starry-eyed. What an evening, and we are honestly just surrounded by truly some greats here tonight, and what a special occasion. And Bobbi Gibb, wow, amazing, remarkable, inspiring, so many things that we could say about you, Bobbi, and what a trailblazer. As a woman who grew up watching the marathon, which ran not far from my house, just the opportunity to meet you here tonight and know how many lives you have touched with your boldness and your passion and your willingness to break open doors that have just made so much possible for so many women who have followed after and will continue to follow after. Just a tremendous honor to be here to celebrate you here tonight. And I cannot wait to see this beautiful statue, and particularly when it is down at the marathon start line, to inspire even more of our residents, more of our citizens in Massachusetts, and particularly those who are running and seeking to be as big as they can be. So wonderful. I have the great honor to be here tonight to introduce two special guests who are with us here tonight to have special presentations for Bobbi. One of whom is a wonderful friend and a wonderful colleague, and perhaps a surprise, Bobbi, but your state senator, the minority leader of the state senate here, Senator Bruce Tarr, has come all the way down from Rockport to make a special presentation to you on this special occasion. Senator Tarr is a remarkable, a passionate, and compassionate leader at the State House, and just so incredibly well respected by so many, and it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Senator Tarr to come up and make a special presentation to you.
Thank you, Representative, for that incredible introduction and for your collegial work, your leadership, your passion, and providing the very best in representation for this community and others across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's an honor to stand on this stage with you tonight and to stand with all of you, to be humbled in the presence of so many remarkable athletes and so many artists in a place that this community has set aside for the celebration of the things that make our world beautiful. And it's also an honor to be here with so many folks from Cape Ann, who also, Bobbi, have made the trek, because we are so very proud of you. And we wanted to share in this night, and we're honored to be able to do it. So my thanks as well to Tim Kilduff and all of the folks that have gathered us tonight for this celebration. A celebration that is worthy of note not only in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but throughout this world. Because when we think about the world, and we think about so many of the barriers that have been broken down, and rightly so, we always have to remember that those barriers were broken because somebody decided that it was their time, and it was their inspiration to step forward and to make a change, and to knock down a barrier so that others could follow after. And you are one of those people, Bobbi. And so we think about the fact that throughout your life, you have never allowed yourself to have boundaries put around you, or to be restrained or constrained or suppressed for all of the wonderful things that are inside of you. We think about the very special legacy of the Boston Marathon, and we think about the fact that it has written so many pages in the chapters of our own lives, where we've seen courage and resilience and perseverance and honor and dignity. And we think about how you have indeed written one of those chapters. But it's so much more than that. It's about the fact that in every endeavor that you choose to apply yourself to, you seek excellence, you seek to help others, and you seek to make our world a better place. And this statue that you yourself created is a perfect example of that, of rising up and creating an object of beauty, but an object as well of inspiration. And we are so very proud that you have done that, and you have done so many other things, and that we can count you as a citizen, a neighbor, and a friend. You know, in many ways, the Boston Marathon commemorates the valiant patriotism of those who stood up to begin this great nation against all of the odds, and it commemorates something often referred to as the shot heard around the world. And Bobbi, when you jumped into end of the Boston Marathon, you took the step heard around the world. And it continues to resonate for every girl, for every woman, for every person who says that Bobbi Gibb did it, and I can do it too. Whether it's neuroscience, alternative energy, supporting the environment, or creating great works of art, it applies to all of us in all of our lives. And we are so indebted to you for taking that step heard around the world. And we can hear the echoes of it still in all of the movements that are out there to make sure that in this country, equality is the law of the land and the fabric of our culture. So I am so pleased to be able to bring you a citation from the Massachusetts State Senate. Now, I've given you one of these before, and I suspect this won't be the last one that you will get either. I do want to say how humbling it is just for a moment to be in the company of such great marathoners. I actually drove here from the State House, and I was thinking, what a long distance this is, and I was driving. And I said, thank God I don't have to run back to the State House. And certainly not back to Cape Ann. But Bobbi, I'm joined in this citation from the Senate by my colleague and friend, State Senate President Karen Spilka, who in her own right has been a persistent champion for the rights of women, and minorities, and equality in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And in an era when we hear an awful lot about the things that divide us, your citation brought the Senate President, who was the highest ranking Democrat in the Senate, together with me. And I am the highest ranking Republican in the Senate. Even in this citation, you brought unity. So it reads, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Roberta Louise Bobbi Gibb in recognition of the planning, design, and construction of the statue honoring your historic participation in the Boston Marathon. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, because we don't know where you're going next. That this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. And this is signed by my good friend, our Senate President, Karen Spilka. It's attested to by our clerk, Michael Hurley. And I am proud to offer it on October 5th, 2021, not only as your senator, not only as the minority leader of the Senate, but something else which I treasure as a friend, Bobbi. Bobbi, congratulations.
We're here to celebrate a true mentor and role model to so many in Bobbi Gibb. And I have the pleasure now of inviting up to the podium and introducing another leader, mentor, inspiring role model here in Hopkinton, in Mary Jo Lafreniere. So Mary Jo, why don't you come on up? Mary Jo is currently one of 3 remarkable women serving in elective office on our select board here in Hopkinton. Mary Jo has served in public service for countless years, serving in the community of Hopkinton as well as at the state level, a number of elected boards and commissions for years and years, and also was recently recognized for over 35 years on the Marathon Committee, supporting the incredible, important work.
I don't know whether it was 1996 or 1997 when my girlfriend and I stood in Natick on 135 by the lake, and we had heard that there was a woman going to run a marathon. And we waited and we looked, and finally my friend Terry said to me, that's a woman, and we watched this woman go by, and it was one of the most exciting days that we ever had, because back in the 60s, we couldn't even get bank accounts in our own names without a male signature, so it was very, very exciting. Okay, a few years ago, really made a lot of difference in my mind was when we had a presentation here at Hopkinton High School of the women, and I do believe you were one of them, who were the first runners of the Boston Marathon, and they talked about their challenges. It was amazing. They couldn't find clothes in which to run. They couldn't find sneakers in which to run. They had to send for shoes from Europe or buy boys' shoes. It was incredibly difficult. Doctors told them if they ran marathons, their uteruses were going to drop out. I mean, really ridiculous things. And I remember one woman, I don't know if she was in New York or New Jersey, but she said when she went out to train, to do her training runs, the police picked her up every time and took her home because they thought she was crazy. So finally she just went along with it and then she would go out and run or go out the back door and start running again. But the challenges were incredible, and I give you all credit in the world for being one of the first to take it up. Another thing that just happened was in New York City in 2020, they put up a bronze statue of 3, real women. And I say that because it's long overdue. The statues of a woman, Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who did so much to advance women and get the vote for women in this country. And it's one of the first statues or pieces of art that was dedicated to them, and it was only 2020, long overdue. Hopkinton is very proud to be the home of this woman's statue of Bobbi for all that she has done. And to recognize the fact that she is the first woman to run and complete the Boston Marathon. We can do one better than New York, though. If New York put this down, I always love to do better than New York. But because our statue, or our piece of art, is not only of a history-making marathoner, but it is made by the same person. We have both in one, and it's just a fabulous thing for us. Robbie's sculpture will be in very good company out there, and I noticed that in Hopkinton we have this statue, which is called The Spirit of the Marathon, and it's of the 1946 winner from Greece, and his name is Stylianos Kyriakides. And then the next statue is honoring Rick and Dick Hoyt, and they are Hopkinton favorites for years. They have been favorites here in town. And the statue, the Stark, pays homage to our own George V. Brown, Hopkinton resident. Bobbi's sculpture will be a reminder to everyone of the power of the human spirit and an inspiration for those to come to follow their dreams. They can be achieved. So, one moment here. On behalf of my colleagues, we are honored to make Bobbi Gibbs an honorary citizen of the town of Hopkinton. Bobbi Gibbs, and we admire you so much. Welcome to Hopkinton.
I first became friends with our next presenter, Tom Frill, during a very unexpected adventure in the scorching heat of San Antonio, Texas, where, believe it or not, we flipped large tires and threw down huge sledgehammers. But that's a fantastic tale for another day. I have come to know Tom as a very kind, authentic man of great integrity with a great sense of humor. Tom is known to many of you, having served over 30 years with the BAA organization, with roles ranging from finish line announcer to executive director, president, and currently as CEO for the past 5 years. The value of Tom's leadership cannot be overstated, especially navigating and overcoming the heartbreaking events of 2013. Tom has devoted himself to advancing the BAA's commitment of serving and promoting the health and wellness of our communities. He was an integral part of the development and success of the World Marathon Major Series 6-Star program and the ongoing growth of the Boston Marathon official charity bid program, which last year in 2020 surpassed the 400 million fundraising mark. Tom, much like Bobbi, the impact of your life's endeavors has and will continue to have a worldwide legacy.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Dr. Damone fails to mention the part of that day down in San Antonio when she was blasting away with a 9mm pistol out at a range. A Marine who had run our race. And to come after Mary Jo is wonderful. It wasn't 5 days ago. She and I were sitting at the bar at Bill's Pizza. and how nice to be in the company of all of these champions, including Bobbi, with whom I have precisely nothing in common. Except, and as Sarah May alluded to, Bobbi and I are both recovering lawyers. There was a time, I learned to my great astonishment, sitting in a different bar with Bobbi, that she was a patent lawyer in Boston for a number of years. And can you picture that? A scribe doing patents? They must have been the best written, loveliest patents in the history of intellectual property. Sorry to have missed them. But that's not what I'm here for this evening. As my colleague Jack Fleming, the Chief Operating Officer of the Boston Athletic Association, observed to Bobbi and me as we came in, this is a night to come full circle. And the only thing wrong with that is that I'm talking about it. Because as some of you know, it should have been Gloria Rabbit, whom we lost several months ago. A woman who embodied everything that is good about the Boston Marathon, about running, about the spirit of athletics. It is a tragic loss, and I stand humbly in her stead. But boy, would she like to be here for this, Bobbi, and talk about it. About the first. Gloria was out working on road races, handing out popsicle sticks at finish lines back in the early 1960s, something like that. She was running races all the time. And they were pretty well all men. Sarah May might have sneaked in every now and again and some of these things, but mostly at first she held the clothes for others. But then came Bobbi Gibb, the person you have heard all about. I won't try to go through the stories again because you have heard them, but there are very, very few people in this world who really are the first to do something. It doesn't happen very often, especially in something that turned out as momentous as all of this. Bobbi is so unique and such a piece of our history at the Boston Athletic Association that if you were to come to the building in Boston, where our offices are, there is a massive mural on the wall, floor to ceiling, and from here to the yet-to-be unveiled sculpture over there, that shows this kid with the blonde hair running to the finish line for the first time. First time. First time for her, first time for women. The word unique fits. People use it a lot. So-and-so is unique, such and such is unique. But really, if you look at what the word means, it means that it's something or somebody that is just plain unlike any other. And that's certainly Bobbi. And just to cement that and to pick up on something that Andy had mentioned, Bobbi is surely the only person here, and maybe the only one anywhere, who's not only the subject of the sculpture, but who is also herself the sculptor. Oh, really? Where does that happen? But it does with Bobbi. And Bobbi, for all of us, we at the BAA and all who surround it and all who work with us in so many ways, we honor you for all the things you are. And mostly, just for being you. You really are a singularity. And for us at the BAA, we couldn't be happier than to have been and to be a small part of your life, just as you have enriched ours, and as you have ennobled a race that learned to welcome you and hundreds of thousands of others to a starting line where they have belonged forever. Thanks for all of that.
A foundational principle of the 26.2 Foundation is that the marathon is much more than just running 26.2 miles. Our mission is to support and promote the sport of marathoning, as well as the health and wellness of our community, both local and at large. This project has reached fruition because of the firm belief, dedication, and generosity of many individuals. We at the Foundation have been fortunate to be guided by the passion and vision of our president, Tim Kilduff.
There you go. Bobbi, just a couple more minutes before we do the unveiling. But I'm going to tell you all some secrets about how this came to be. So if I could ask, please, Bill Rogers to come up, Andy Burfoot, Susan Hurley. Come on, Susan. Ted Twinney, and Erica Siegel. There's Ted. So here's the secret. The minute this idea began to take form, the first person to jump on the bandwagon was Bill Rogers. And he helped in many, many ways and kicked us in the pants where we needed it. But he also donated several marathon entries, which helped in the funding. So Bill, thank you very much. I need to get a little help to pass these out. So Amy, Cece, and Jillian are gonna help. Andy, when you see this, I don't want to steal the sculpture, but I'll give you a little hint. When you see the way Bobbi has sculpted this, it catches the moment. There was a very, very famous photograph that Bobbi running down Boylston Street in her brother's shorts in a swim top. This sculpture captures that particular moment on Boylston Street. That pushing us and pushing Bobbi to create that historical sculpture, that thinking came from Andy Burfoot. Susan Hurley in fundraising. A lot of you have been involved in fundraising, but these fundraising efforts, they have peaks and valleys. They move up and down. But as we began to get in sort of a down phase, one person raised her hand and jumped in, and again provided a lot of energy in a big push, and that's Susan Hurley. I hope some of you have had the opportunity to sample the IPAs that our friend Ted Twinney fashions. Startline Brewing is right down the street. Is it open this late?
Sorry, not tonight. 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock tomorrow. Ted jumped into this big time. They created a Bobbi Gibb IPA that went on sale and sold out in a matter of days. So Ted, thank you very much. You can't put on an event like this unless you have people step up and help us with the refreshments and just enthusiastically jumps in. We have another very, very high-end business in town. It's called Marty's Fine Wines, and Erica Siegel supplied the refreshments tonight. So Erica, thank you very much. Thank you guys. That's the secret.
Next, we'll be joined by Amanda Maffei, who's a singer-songwriter. a music teacher, a longtime resident of Hopkinton, and champion of women's causes. She wrote and will be performing a song inspired by Bobbi's historic home.
To running all her life, over earth, into air and sky. But they said woman isn't physically able, yet she'd been running 40 miles stretch behind a bush at the stars. The first half passed by, then she departed, hidden under a hoodie blue, bound for Boston, 26.2. Go, girlie, go, show them all what woman can do. Heed the call, run the distance like fire in wind, that all humans may join in. She crossed the country in her van, up and down the Rockies she ran. It's back in Boston she'd seen the race that sealed her fate. Go, girlie, go, show them all what woman can do. Heed the call, run the distance like fire in wind, that all humans may join in. 3:21 and 40, time to settle the score. Set runners' hearts yearning, women's wills for more and more. Go, woman, go, heed the call. What woman can do, show them all. Run the distance like fire in wind, that all humans may join in. Go, woman, go, go, women, go, go, humans, go, go, people, go, go, runners, go.
The story of Bobbi's run is captivating and inspiring, but her historic run is just one piece of a beautifully extraordinary journey. The story of her life, her endeavors as a human are remarkable. As we've heard, Bobbi's a mother, a lawyer, and an author. She has contributed as an ALS medical researcher at UMass and in cognitive science lab at MIT. She studied art at the Museum of Fine Arts School and has created art for over 50 years. She is a humanitarian and a 3-time Boston Marathon champion. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Bobbi Gibb. Boston Marathon champions to join us on the stage. Andy, Bill, Jack, and Sarah May, if you could join us for the unveiling.
Go ahead. There you go.
I have to take this off?
No, yes, you have to take it off.
Okay. Whoa. Getting it off. Come on. Here we go.
possible, and I really, really appreciate it. And this is to all the women pioneers of Boston, and all women pioneers, in fact, pioneers everywhere. When Tim first asked me to sculpt this, I said, well, I'll do Joan Benoit. And Joan Benoit said, no, it should be you. So I said to Tim, well, I'll do a generic woman then. And he said, no, we're not going to do it unless you do one of yourself, which was an extremely strange experience. I do mostly athletes and their emotions, so I never had worked from an actual human subject before. So yeah, I'm looking at my legs and my arms, and I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. But I did it, and thanks to Tim, and thanks to all of you. You are amazing. Hopkinton is amazing. I feel as though I've come back to my family, and now I'm a citizen of Hopkinton. And this is a community of amazing people, and when I think the talent is here, the music that we've heard, and the 26.2 Foundation, and Jamie and Susan and state representatives and senators. It's truly a democratic, wonderful community that you have created. And I really think that everyone came to this earth to give something, a special gift, that everyone has a gift, not just me. You all have gifts, you all have gifts, you all have things you came here to do, things that you're talented at, and you give them to the community, and to each other, and to the world. And I just think it's wonderful. Hopkinton is an amazing place. This is where it all begins. And 55 years ago, this is where it began. For me, it's so amazing to be back here 55 years later. It feels like about 10 years. and here you are. And so it's like a huge family reunion. It's just wonderful. I don't know how much you want me to talk about. You want to have one of those books, to go down. Tim said he wanted me to talk a little bit about what it was like in 1966, coming back here. And as so many eloquent speakers have said, I saw the marathon in '64 and fell in love with it. And I'd always been running in the woods with the neighborhood dogs. And I really relate to that. I mean, people thought I was nuts. What's she doing up in the woods running with the dogs? And my mother used to say, you've got to find a husband. How do you think you're going to support yourself? You can't keep doing this. You're totally impractical. And so, and then I saw the marathons. Wow, other people run. This is amazing. I mean, in those days, hardly any man ran. A woman running in public was improper. I mean, so I saw these people and I just fell in love with it. And that's what I love. You sent around this little wonderful video from Hopkinton to, Hopkinton to about love. And I think love is what binds us all together and what binds us to the world. And I've always felt that. And so I fell in love with this, and I always follow what I love from the inside. I wasn't thinking about changing anything, or man or woman or anything, when I started to run. Something inside of me said, you're going to run that race. And the amazing thing is, when I think back at it, I didn't question that, even though it was way far outside the social norm. And I just started running, and my boyfriend would take me, 8 miles on his motorcycle and let me off, and I'd run back to the house, and he'd be sitting there watching TV saying, what took you so long? So the next day it would be 9 miles and 10 miles, and so I was increasing my distance. And then I took a trip across the country with the VW van and my now puppy. And at night I slept out under the stars because I was in love with the earth. And I was in love with nature. And I always, ever since I was little, I've always felt, maybe it had something to do with my grandmother, my Nana. I've always felt surrounded by love. I mean, even here, it's like love is everywhere, and I always felt that all this creation, like, this is what has fueled my interest in science and law and society and trying to make the world better and everything, is this sense like, wow, what is this all doing here? This is a miracle of amazing proportions. I mean, and the more I learned about science, the more miraculous it seemed, like atoms and molecules and people and planets and a huge cosmos here, and we're this little planet, and we know that. But it is amazing to realize we don't know why it's here, or what it's doing here, or how it got here, or anything. We have science, and we have religion, we have spiritual practices, and they're all looking at this, but you feel it. You feel that it has to be coming out of this love that's beyond our comprehension. It couldn't come out of anything else. It's so beautiful. And so I was in love with the earth. And that's why I went across the country. I was in love with this country. And amazing, after thousands and thousands of years of tribal wars and people hating each other and countries killing each other and enslavement and all this stuff, suddenly comes this new idea of democracy for everyone and freedom and a government that protects the rights of every single individual. And we don't have it right yet. But we're working on it. We're getting closer and closer. I really believe we're making progress. And as Senator Carr said, Republicans and Democrats. My father was a right-wing Republican. My mother was a bleeding heart Democrat. I love them both. I love Republicans. I love Democrats. I mean, they're people, and we have so much in common. And so here's this beautiful country. And so I wanted to see what it was like. Every single part of the country, sleeping out at night. And at night I would fall asleep under the stars. I had binoculars, and I look up at the stars, and like the stars were my friends. And then I got further and further west. I went across, and every day I would run in a different place, West Virginia, Ohio. And I'd meet people in the truck stops, and I'd talk, and I'd listen to their lives, and all the way across the Mississippi and out onto the Great Plains. And I'd never seen this before. Wow, I'd never been alive before. It's like, wow, what a gas. Alive on this earth, this beautiful earth, this incredible planet, in the middle of this cosmos. And I'm going further and further, and I get to the Rocky Mountains, and I go up and over the Continental Divide. And I get out to Nevada, and I see more stars than I'd ever seen before. I mean, and it just took my breath away. And then over in the Sierra Nevadas and down and into California, across the Golden Gate Bridge, and I jumped into the Pacific Ocean and swam in these huge waves coming and the sun glittering on the water. It's like, I was in love with it. I was in love with this whole thing. And then that was my training to Boston. And then I came back here. I came back, and meanwhile, I forgot to mention, I got married to a Navy man who was in the middle of the Vietnam War, and he was stationed in San Diego, which is the home port of the Pacific Fleet. So I went out there and married him, and that's where I came back. So I finished my training in California, there on the beaches, and then I wrote for my application, and they told me, no, women are not physiologically able. So I said to myself, here it is again. If you're a woman, you live in this little box. There's no escape. And so I said, all the more reason to run. And so that's when it became a social statement. I figured if I could prove that misconception about women wrong, it would throw into question all the other misconceptions that have been used to basically subjugate women for centuries. And so then it became a social statement. It wasn't just me wanting to run the marathon, it was I wanted to change things. And so I took the bus back. I got to Boston, St. James Square, and I called my parents. Hi, well, where are you? I'm Boston. What are you doing in Boston? I'm going to run the marathon. Dead silence. I hadn't told my parents any of this, because I knew they'd think I was nuts. which they did. And so my dad actually thought I was delusional. But I convinced my mom to drive me to Hopkinton. We'd never been here before, and that was the first time I saw Hopkinton. We drove up the marathon route, and she let me off on the outskirts. And she spent most of her adult life trying to get me to conform to the same deadly norms that made her so frustrated and miserable. And finally, I got through to her. I said, Mom, I have to do this to help to set women free. And I could see her lips starting to quiver, you know, and I said for the first time it's getting through her. And she said, okay, I'll drive you to the start. So she drove, and for the first time, I felt she was on my side. We hugged for the first time in years. And she said, good luck, and left me off in Hopkinton, and then I started running around. It's a beautiful little town, my gosh, it's gorgeous. And I saw the runners gathering, and Dad started running. I thought I had to warm up, so I went out behind some buildings and ran up and down for about 40 minutes, and then I got about a little before the race started, I hid in the bushes again, and then I jumped in, as you know, you heard from everyone else. Anyway, that's a long-winded story of how I got to Hopkinton, and that was 55 years ago. And it's so nice to be back again. I mean, I feel like the Boston Marathon and all the people associated with it and the people all along the way is, it's my family. And every year, except for last year, we have a family reunion. And it's just wonderful to see everyone and to be here and everything. And I always think the Boston Marathon, people come from all over the world, all different religious backgrounds, all different races, genders, everything. And we all get along, we all love each other. It's like a big love-in. In the 70s, we used to have love-ins. We get together and love each other. And just, you know, and feel the love. And so that was it. So I said, if we can do it in Boston, we can do it in the world. That's my next goal. I mean, the human consciousness has to rise up to where we don't hurt each other anymore. And our countries don't hurt each other anymore, and people don't hurt each other. We have to make that step because we're at a crossroads here. We have to love the earth and take care of the earth. And we have to love each other and take care of each other. And that goes for countries too. And I'm not sure how to bring all this about, but that's what I want to do next.
Thank you everyone for joining us for this celebration tonight. Bobbi, your statue will provide a beautiful lesson into the world about the impact that one person can have when they live a life of integrity and authenticity. Let us share with our children the importance of listening to the call of your heart, especially when your endeavor is grounded in love for others. It is a clear sign that you are indeed on the right road. I will close with a quote from Bobbi tonight that I hope you all carry forward with you. I ran the Boston Marathon out of love. I believe that love is the basis of all meaningful human endeavors. Thank you.